Hi, I'm Mike Walther with the Oak Wealth Advisors 2025 second quarter market update. For 2025, the investment markets have actually performed quite a bit better than most people's expectations. And in fact, if your focus has been on headlines and all the negativity and volatility going on both domestically and around the world, you'd probably be surprised to see just how well your investments have been performing. If we look at the 1-year numbers, which is the middle column of data, for both the US stock market, which is the first two rows, and the international markets, which are the third and fourth rows, we'll see double-digit returns for most markets and only the US small cap market performing just below that level. If we look at 3 and 5 years, almost all of the global investment markets around the world, at least on the stock market side, have delivered double-digit returns on an average annualized basis, really rewarding investors for sticking with their investments and not jumping into cash when it looks worrisome. That's a great lesson to take forward. We're not going to overreact to news stories. The investment markets are resilient, and staying invested over the long term generates the kinds of returns you want from your portfolio. The only area of recent underperformance has been the fixed income markets. Both the US taxable bond market and US municipal bond market have underperformed their long-term averages. That's due in large part to relatively high interest rates and the fact that interest rates have not declined during this period. So we've had rising rates and more stable high rates more recently. That's allowed the US taxable markets to deliver a 6.1% 1-year return because the rates have been elevated and retained that high level of interest for a longer period of time. If we look at in the overall summary, we'll see that the S&P reached a new high at the end of the second quarter. So really we're at a peak right now for the S&P 500 index. There's still room to go. It can go either direction, obviously, but we don't see a huge reason for concern going forward. What we have seen is large companies outperforming small companies. Historically, we'd expect small companies to outperform in the long run. They haven't recently, so maybe there's an area of opportunity there for small companies to outperform large in the coming years. With respect to the international markets, as we just saw, the international stock markets outperformed the US markets for the first time in many years. For those clients who stayed consistent with their investment allocation and left a chunk of their portfolio invested in international stocks, they were rewarded. Those who had bailed out and only own US stocks, they missed out on the best performing part of the market in 2025. Now, all this is against a backdrop of numerous tariffs that have been implemented, withdrawn, and changed, executive orders coming at rapid speed, and a large new tax bill, all of which generated uncertainty. But against that backdrop, corporate America and the companies around the world have managed to perform very nicely. What we've also noticed is that the Federal Reserve, despite pressure from the president, has not lowered interest rates. They're seeing inflation and unemployment at levels that suggest to them that lowering rates might cause inflation to heat up and cause more problems than it provides benefits. But we do know is if and when rates come down, and we expect they will at some point later this year or next year, we should see improved performance in the stock market, the bond market, and the real estate market. So it's something for all of us to be looking forward to. And as a reminder, for all of our clients, you can log into your portal and see all of your performance data going back to inception. You can see the cash flows, the performance against the invested dollars, as well as how your allocation is relative to your target allocation and the balance of each of your individual accounts. So we'd encourage all of you to look at your individual portfolios to see how you've been doing relative to your targets. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to your advisor at Oak Wealth Advisors. We'd be happy to help you answer your questions. Have a great second half of 2025.